right, so Jermod is right here, and you're going to see the wide receiver right here come over in motion, and Jermod's going to be in man-to-man coverage, and he's going to kind of flow over with them. We're letting it roll now. It's coming over with them, and it's going to be a run, but what we'll notice is Jermod does a good job, first off, with his angle from the backside. Let's let it roll again, and watch the angle that he's taking, okay? So look, so he kind of steps off right here. He sees that this looks like this is a jet sweep play, so he's taking a pretty good angle on this play just to start it off. And all right, so good right here. Now we're going to see the wide receiver is going to try to cut back to the middle. And let's watch Jermod, who is right here, okay? Let's watch him go to work. He's going to do a good job of beating this offensive lineman with some speed. You see how he's getting low. That's beautiful fundamentals. That's great technique, okay? He gets low, okay, gets in on that tackle. This is what P and I keep on talking about with the willingness of our secondary guys to get in on plays. You see it again from that angle. You really got to like that, man. I mean, number one, you know, he's not the biggest guy, but those little things help out tremendously throughout the course of a football game. All right, so this is a red zone situation. This is Jermod right here. He's going to be playing cover two, okay? We talk about this a lot, but cover two is when the cornerback is typically going to be playing in this flat area, and then the safety is going to be playing over the top. So what I really like about this play as we're letting it roll is you're going to see Jermod right here. Boom. Okay, so he's playing in between two people. So he's underneath this route right here. Okay, this out or this sail route, but he's also in a good enough position to be able to come up on this hitch right here. Okay, so you really like that. And we'll go ahead and let this thing roll. You see that the pass wasn't great, but Jermod was in really good coverage. You know, he was in a really good area. You're also going to notice this right here. Okay, boom. So just like I said, right in between these two routes, that's beautifully played. But playing cover two, a cornerback's leverage is to the outside. So these are just some of the smaller details. You'll see that Jermod is going to attack this wide receiver's outside shoulder. So this goes to show you that he's a very fundamentally sound football player just off of these first two plays. All right, and this is 3rd and 9. This is Jermod up here at the top. This is man-to-man cover, so he's playing man on this guy, and the ball's not going to come his way, but I want for you to pay attention to the way that he's playing off coverage. Okay, he's got inside leverage. I can tell that from right here, which means that he's playing inside of this wide receiver, and he's going to use the sideline as the 12th defender. So let's go ahead and let this thing roll. Boom. Okay. So what I like in all of this is, number one, he looks very smooth and fluid in his back pedal. Okay. So as the play comes back, okay, we'll watch it roll from the beginning. Look, he looks really smooth in his back pedal. You can tell he just looks natural right there. He looks very comfortable. Okay. So he can break in any direction, but also right here, as he opens up his hips, you can tell just how easily he's able to flip them open. And that's the sign of a really, really good cornerback. This is all of the fundamental stuff that you want. Stay on top of the route. Okay. Quarterback can't go there. We'll sit again from this angle, okay? Boom. This is Jermod. All right, we're watching him go to work. Now, look, he's doing a great, I mean, this is beautiful. Boom, boom. Okay, so he's stemming. This is called stemming. So what that means is he's going to continuously maintain, like, let's say if he's a yard inside of this wide receiver, he's going to stay there. So he's glued here, almost like there's some type of a harness that is connecting these two players. But basically what happened is the wide receiver starts off right here, and he just kind of comes over slightly, right? But what you'll notice is Jermod, boom, steps over, okay? Very, very subtle thing. Let's watch it again. Boom, 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 boom. You see that he steps over again. These are just some very small, minor detail things, but they are all what you need to have a really good cornerback. All right, so this is Jermod right here. This looks like this is man-to-man coverage. He's playing off again, and look, boom, same exact thing. Breaks up on the ball well, plays through the hands of the wide receiver. We'll sit again from this angle, okay? Boom, okay, as soon as the wide receiver breaks, he breaks, and he does a great job of getting out of his break. You can see that there's no wasted movement. There's no wasted motion, okay? We'll see it again right here, okay? Boom, 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 break, and he's coming out immediately, okay? Again, part of the reason he can get in and out of his break so easily is because he's so smooth in his back pedal. Some players can't play off coverage like this, but he can play off coverage. He can play at the line of scrimmage as well, and we'll see that throughout this film. But right here, okay, what you got to love is he's, you know, driving, okay, on this wide receiver, and he finds the football quick, and you're going to see him, boom, play straight through the football, straight through the wide receiver's hands. We'll see it again from another angle in slower motion right there. Boom, okay. You can almost see his eyes. Obviously, you can't really see him, but you can tell by the way that his head is centered that he's looking right at this ball, okay. And, you know, obviously, if that pass was thrown more to the outside, maybe it could have been a completion, but you have to love seeing defensive backs that can play like this man-to-man coverage, especially at the corner position. This is why I do think that he's going to be a starter, and I think he's going to be a very good one for our Volunteers. All right, so on this play, we had a wide receiver coming in motion, and Jermod McCoy is going to be bumping down to make this man-to-man coverage. This was intentional by the Washington Huskies, and this wide receiver right here will probably be taken number 2 overall in this year's draft, and I forget how to pronounce his name, but we're going to go ahead and let this thing roll. Okay, we're seeing Jermod McCoy playing up at the line of scrimmage, and what I like first off is that you saw him get a little bit of handsy right there. Not really handsy, but he does get his hands on the wide receiver, and that actually throws off the timing. You see that he's in pretty good position right here towards the end of this play, and this is very much a timing route, and that's the reason that this pass was not completed. A big part of this, guys, is you would really have to be able to watch this entire game to see the way that they were going to work on all of the other secondary players for Oregon State in this game. And really the only player who held his own throughout the entire game was Jermod McCoy. And right here, okay, so he is up underneath this route. Now, I do believe that he has some safety help over the top. So this, this trail position that he's in isn't terrible. But again, back to the timing of this route, okay? And you also see he's getting pushed off on, right? But he's still in phase. He's still able to keep contact with the wide receiver all the way through this play. So he's got a good, strong core. And, again, this is a guy that's going to the NFL draft this season, and Jermod McCoy is just a true freshman, but he's playing man-to-man coverage up against the best of the best in this entire country. So for sure, man, I mean, he's a guy that Tennessee will see playing a whole lot of man-to-man coverage, and I think he's going to be a lockdown player for us. Our defense should take a really big leap forward because of playmakers like this one right here. All right, so this is Jermod right here. What we're going to see on this play is he's going to be manned up with a tight end. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to put a bigger body on him and use this tight end as a box out guy on a deep comeback route. But watch the way that Jermod plays this. Really, really like this. I mean, look at that. That's beautiful. Gosh, that's gorgeous. All right, hold on. I had to show y'all this. First off, watch his back pedal. Look how fast and how smooth his feet are. But right here, okay, he's starting a transition of opening up his hips to stay on top of this wide receiver. See, he's giving him a really good cushion. And we already know that he's really good in and out of the break. So having, about a 3 to 4 yard cushion is actually really good. He's not going to give up those deep plays. And if they do try to throw it to this tight end right here, then he's going to be able to break up on it by the time that the ball gets there. So you love all of that, okay? And right here, now you could also tell that part of this is, again, the timing is being thrown off because Penix Jr. wants to go to this tight end the entire time. You can tell he's kind of staring it down, but he's not able to throw it on time. You can tell he's kind of patting his feet, patting the ball, and he's, just waiting because this tight end was not open. So we'll see it again from a different angle, and obviously the ball does hit Jermod McCoy in his hands, and he doesn't make the catch, but right here, okay, that's Jermod. Let's go ahead and let it roll. Okay, now they're just talking about the tight end running that deep hook route. So good. Okay, you stand on top of the route. Now, okay, they actually paused it for me. So at this point, right, the tight end looks like he tried to push off on Jermod McCoy, kind of got stuck in the ground because Jermod's he's a really good athlete. He's a really strong football player. But boom, okay, he actually is right there. So that was an accurately thrown pass. And because this tight end was kind of falling over his feet, trying to push off on Jermod, the ball ends up hitting Jermod directly in his hands. He does have to come up with that catch. Okay, like you would definitely like to see that. Boom, hits him right in the hands. But now y'all probably can't see it, but it is raining. It's really wet. That's not really, that's really not a reason for you not to catch a pass. But, you have to love just the simple fact that Jermod McCoy was in phase, and there's a whole lot of great man-to-man coverage on any type of passing threat, pass catching threat that Washington could find. And you see Penix Jr. is pretty much pulling his hair out at this point. All right, so this is Jermod right here. And on this play, we're just showing, just how good his fundamentals and technique are. Okay, so look, so he's up at the line of scrimmage. He has, his patience at the line, everything that he does at the line is textbook. The only thing that I would like to see him do a little bit more of is get his hands on the wide receiver. What he does is he kind of lets the wide receiver come to him. He doesn't put his hands on the wide out just about until, he breaks his cushion just enough for him to reach out and boom, jab him. And then he'll kind of turn with him. So, really whatever works for you is fine. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all that really matters. But you see that he's in phase. He stays on top of this route. Okay, we'll see it again. Boom, boom. Okay, he stays on top of it, and he makes it look really, really easy. So I just wanted to highlight that play just to point out how good his technique is. All right, and on this play, Jermod is right here, and this is going to end up being a run play. We'll go ahead and let it roll. So it's going to be, this is another like jet sweep, okay? So you see that Jermod is getting blocked right here, but what I love is that he fights to the outside and make sure that he can get that outside leverage. You see this wide receiver's body is turning, and you also see that this is going to end up being a holding call, just because, I mean, obviously he's got to be holding on to him if he's turning with his entire body. So Jermod is going to work up the field right here, okay, as he continues to fight through this block. And you can kind of see that pull. So he's right here to make the play. It's right at the line of scrimmage. And these are the types of things that you love out of your secondary players, is being able to get off blocks, okay, being physical at the point of contact, and, just showing a willingness to show some effort to want to make a tackle. All right, so this is Jermod right here. They've got a tight end flexed out wide on him, and he's just going to be playing man. They're kind of just trying to pretty much just take him out of the play, just trying to get him out of the way, right? But watch the way that he is still reading the quarterback once he realizes that this tight end really ain't doing nothing. He stays, engaged with this guy, and he's watching the quarterback to see where the ball is coming. And he's right here around the ball, even though it wasn't thrown to his man, it was thrown to this guy. But these are the types of things that you really have to like out of guys, especially in your secondary, because he's going to be able to make plays just because of his effort. We keep on talking about effort, but that's the biggest thing. Whenever you take it back to a guy like Eric Berry, I think a big part of the reason that he was so special is not only was he a phenomenal athlete, but he played with tremendous effort. And those little things go a very long way on a football field. So that's just another part of the reason I'm very excited about Jermod McCoy. All right, so this is Jermod right here. We're going to have this wide receiver come in and then try to come back out late. I think it's kind of like a post corner, okay? But we'll let it roll, and let's see what happens here. Boom. Okay, yeah. So, he's just kind of coming in, and then he's trying to come back to the outside. Again, that's man-to-man coverage, but you see that play is just not on time. The pass is just not on time because Jermod McCoy is in great coverage. Now, I wish that they would have shown this again from a different angle, but the biggest takeaway is that this is one of the most difficult routes to cover as a cornerback, because you have to go all the way inside and you have to go full speed for the most part, unless you're really fast like Jermod McCoy obviously is, where he's pretty much able to, he's probably running, about 70% right now. And it makes it a lot easier to change directions and get out of your break and go back to the outside on a play like this. But again, man, he's just a phenomenal cornerback off of these few plays, right? Knowing that he's going up against probably the best wide receiver core in the entire country from this past season, and you're seeing how well he's playing up against all these guys. You have to think that he's going to end up being one of the better cornerbacks that we've had at Tennessee in a very long time. I'm trying to think back to who would be, close to about as good as what he looks so far on film. And you have to go back, I'd say probably about 10 years or so to get to somebody. So he's going to be a great player for us. All right, so this is 2nd and 10, and Jermod is playing off coverage, but he's also playing inside leverage. It's about 7-8 yards off of the line of scrimmage. And one of the things that you have to pay attention to whenever you're playing corner is the way that the wide receiver splits are. So you can see that with where this wide receiver is, he's got a lot of room to the outside. Now, this is very similar to what we saw on the previous play where the wide receiver was lined up about in the same spot, and he comes to the inside to come back to the outside. Okay, let's go ahead and let this roll, because what this wide receiver is going to do is run a speed out, okay? Those are really hard to cover, especially playing off man like this. But what I do like is, let's watch it roll. Boom. Okay, so he takes a good angle, okay? So his angle is going to be inside out, right? So it's inside out from the time that the ball is thrown, but at the same time, you kind of have to be able to work to this upfield shoulder as well, okay? So he does a really good job of doing that, right? Okay, so he kind of is able to change it in the middle. All right, let me show it to you right here. Okay, so you can see it a little bit better. Boom. Okay, hard to see from there, but I can tell by the way that this is starting to kind of get rounded off, that he started off, boom, attacking a little bit more shallow. Okay, it's more of a shallow angle, and then he was able to redirect and get back to the upfield and protect the outside and force the player back to the inside. Boom. See, you can kind of tell right there as well. Now, this wide receiver does try to get back to the inside of Jermod, and he's out there on an island by himself. All he has to do is just try to hold this guy up. Like, you know what I'm saying? That would probably be about the worst case. It's just, hey, I'm going to hold this guy up and let my teammates rally so that they can finish this tackle. And I don't just, let him get a free wide, run down the sideline, because if he does that, that's 6. There's nobody over here to stop it if this guy has a full head of steam. So Jermod does a good job of doing that, and, not only doing that, but actually making the tackle. So let's see it again from the break. Boom, you see it in, in full speed motion. Does a great job of using some strong hands to slow a guy up. Again, it goes back to the effort factors of the game. And he plays like a Georgia boy. We talk about Georgia football all the time, but he plays like he's from Georgia. I mean, this is how we play. A whole lot of good fundamentals, a whole lot of incredible effort. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked that he didn't go to a bigger college coming out of high school. All right, so this is another play that's not coming to Jermod, but I wanted to show it right here, just again to show his coverage skills up against number one for Washington. That guy is going to be a first round pick for sure. He could end up being top 10 type of a guy, but I mean, you see he's right in phase and he's staying right there with them, so he's going to be able to hold his own versus any player in the entire country. All right, so on this play, Jermod is playing more of a nickel look. That's what we call the star in our defense, and he's lined up against what that might be a tight end, but it's hard to tell. Okay, but boom, you can see that right here, the ball's not coming to them, but you can tell he's right there. Okay, so he can play inside, outside, and then that same wide receiver that we're just talking about is dogging this other player. So you can see how good they actually are. Everything's on time. But right here, okay, so yeah, this is a wide receiver. But right here, this is the guy that Jermod McCoy is guarding in this play, and boom, you see that? He's right there. He's right there with them. So you got to love that. And again, the same thing that this wide receiver tried to do to Jermod McCoy. You see, he's got his hand on him, and he's going to end up pushing off at the end. And it doesn't go as well for number one for Oregon State. So that was a touchdown play. Let's go ahead and get to this one. So what we're going to see is Jermod McCoy right here, okay? And that's the same wide receiver. And it's just going to be a different result because Jermod McCoy is a different player, right? Like the window is so small. The only place that Penix could have thrown it was up high, and he has to throw it too high, and the wide receiver can't come down with it. So, I mean, again, man, you have to love the way that this young man plays. He's a tremendous athlete. All right, so we're getting towards the end, but this is Jermod right here. He's going to be playing man-to-man coverage on a drag route. We talked about these before, in some film sessions and breakdowns on how difficult it is for a cornerback to be able to stay, in man-to-man coverage on a drag all the way across the field. But what I like here is the awareness of Jermod. Look at this, boom. Okay, he's able to avoid a guy right here. This is really a pick play. This guy's trying to pick him. You see he's throwing his elbow out. That's a tight end. He's trying to pick him off, but Jermod avoids him. And, at this point, Penix is really doing his best to go to somebody else. You know what I mean? It's got to be a perfect situation for there to be a completion on Jermod McCoy. All right, so this is 1st and 10. Jermod McCoy, man-to-man on, probably the second best wide receiver in the entire country this past season. But watch him go to work, right? Stand on top of the route at the line of scrimmage. Good job right there. That's a very nicely thrown ball, too. I mean, that's a beautiful ball by Penix. He's a daggum gamer, and he dropped that one right in the bucket. But it's incomplete. So, I mean, that's about as good as you can do. You can sit in from this angle, okay? He's in phase. Does a good job of, you know what I'm saying? Keeping his hand right there, okay? Not letting the wide receiver get up the field too much. But at the same time, he's not holding him. I mean, he really does look like he was taught some old school type of football. And I keep saying this, but I'm very surprised that he didn't have more offers coming out of high school. That's tremendous. So, that's really good coverage. Okay, he throws the wide receiver off. He throws the quarterback off. He stays in phase, and he's able to make plays. All right, so this is Jermod McCoy down here. It's kind of hard to see him at this point, but what's going to end up happening is we're going to get a motion, and then Jermod is going to bump down. And basically what they're trying to do is get him to bump down and isolate him on the outside right here and try to run it right at him, okay? So he's the outside guy. He's the contained guy for the entire defense. That's what corners usually are. But right here, he's kind of, lined up closer to the line of scrimmage. And they run this wide receiver, this guy right here, they run him off. So Jermod naturally has got to try to stay on top of that because secondary players are pass first. But what I love is that he identifies that this is a run very quickly. Now watch him, boom, gets out of his break, comes up, okay, makes a good tackle. Now he's not a thumper. He doesn't have to be. Just get the man on the daggum ground. And he does that, okay? You have to love that. Again, I mean, you absolutely have got to love guys who do the little fundamental things correct. I promise y'all, I'm telling y'all, it makes a huge difference in the entire defense whenever you have guys playing like this. All right, so this is Jermod McCoy right here. This is a crucial 3rd and 3. As you can see, it is 22-20. Oregon State is losing, and this is in the 4th quarter. So this is critical, right? Oregon State run out of timeouts. They've got to get this stopped. Now, what we're going to see right here is a fade route and boom, back shoulder, okay? Now, this pass was completed, but let me just what we're going to see it from a different angle. This is impossible. There's nothing that you can do as a cornerback to stop a well-executed back shoulder fade. This is nothing that you can do because Jermod McCoy is actually playing on top of this route, which is where you want to be. You've got to protect the deep routes first, okay? So whenever that happens, and you can see that this wide receiver, as he's always been doing this entire game, is pushing off, and it's just too hard to get it's too hard to stay engaged and to stay close enough to be able to catch a ball that's thrown way back here because, Jermod has to go through this guy's arm. He's got to go through his body and everything else. I mean, there's just really nothing that you can do to stop a well-executed back shoulder pass. But, I mean, look, he came as close as you could possibly come to it. All right, so seeing it again, okay, great job at the line of scrimmage. I mean, look at that. That's beautiful coverage. I mean, you really can't do anything better than that. But good offense is going to be good defense every single time, okay? That's just the way that this goes. That's the way that this game is played. And that was just perfectly executed by Washington, and that's why they ended up going on to the national championship, and that's why they won this game. But that's the last play from Jermod McCoy versus Washington, and I hope that y'all enjoyed it. Again, man, the biggest takeaways from this entire breakdown is that he's going to come in, I think, and instantly probably be the best cover guy on the entire roster. Now, I do think that Ricky Gibson has a chance to take a good leap forward this upcoming season, okay, in the offseason, especially working hand in hand with Jermod McCoy. But we're going to see a lot more man-to-man coverage this season versus what we've seen over the past few seasons. And there's going to be some very tight windows for the quarterbacks to throw the football in. And I think that that's going to, go hand in hand with the pass rush. We're going to see a whole lot more sacks, I believe, this season. And I think that our defense is going to flourish because we're going to have players like Jermod McCoy coming in to help us out. So appreciate y'all as always for being members of this channel, and we'll see y'all on the next breakdown. Thanks. Peace.